Better DM, Perkins or Jerry?
This interview was sponsored by the Endless Bag of Dice. Get a new set of dice at your door every month. Use the code SAVE15 to get 15% off your first month.
Hey guys, Jason from Critical Dice, and today I am interviewing one of my favorite D&D players of all time, Amy Falcone, Walnut Dawn Grass. Kakra!
Kakra, hello. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm so glad to get you on today. This is really it's a big thing for me, and I hope it'll be a good interview for everybody else who's watching it. Just been a huge fan of C Team since the very beginning, and so this is really a dream for me, actually.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you've been watching, keeping up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started listening to Acquisitions Incorporated, that very first one back in like 2008.
Me too.
Yeah, and just seeing it become the granddaddy of all of the live play podcasts, and then seeing them come to PAX, and they had their first room was too small because they didn't know that people cared about this kind of thing. And then that teaser trailer came out like 3 or 4 years ago with Jerry as the DM and announced the C Team. So how did the C Team come to be, and like who approached you? How were you approached? Like, how did you get involved in all this?
Yeah. So the C Team came to be because I think Jerry had a story he wanted to tell, and the right way to do it was at the table. The way I was approached was Mike Krahulik, who is Jim Dark Magic, came up to me and he was like, "Amy, you play D&D, right?" I said, "Yes." And then a month later or so, I got an email saying, "Would you like to do this show?"
Oh, that's so cool. So they're kind of like putting the feelers out there and just like, all right, who's local? Who can we find that might want to do this? So how long have you been playing D&D?
Oh man, I've been playing D&D for a little over 10 years now. Really on and off. I haven't had a weekly campaign that whole time, but it's always been something I've been pretty passionate about.
Yeah, I think that you can absolutely count the time where you don't have a regular game as long as you're staying. If you sit in a cafe and think of a cool new character concept, I think that counts, even if you can't find a bunch of chuckleheads to play with you,
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
right on. And so you started playing, I'm going to guess, 4th edition, 3.5?
3.5. Nothing before, and I skipped 4.
Okay, right on. Oh, the screen's doing weird things. Okay, so did you skip 4, you said?
I skipped 4 totally.
A solid choice, I think, for a lot of people. So they approached you, the feelers out, they said, hey, be part of this. And so now it comes a time to actually make the characters. So where did you draw inspiration for making Walnut? Like, where did that character come from?
Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of, and do have a lot of, environmental concerns. And so that's why I wanted to play a druid that was really concerned about the world that she lives in. And then the other thing I did was I just took all of my flaws about myself that I really don't like and kind of crammed them all into one character so I can kind of work through those things at the table. It's like very cheap therapy.
Yeah, in front of 1,000 of your closest friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that goes to it too. So you can see some of the angst of decisions that Walnut's had to make over the last 3 seasons or so. And you even see, if you look, you can see the character development. So how much of who Walnut is now was when you made her all those years ago, or how much of her is what has developed as you played through the game?
I think it's all about what happens at the table. I think I had an idea of where she would go, and she went in this complete other direction. And I think that is, largely because D&D is a collaborative effort, and I'm collaborating with these 4 other people, including the DM. And so I can't really railroad Walnut's story. It just sort of happens.
Yeah, and then, I mean, it's not just about you because, Jerry is springing things on you, and the characters at the table are springing things, and so you have to just kind of roll with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, rolling with it is, 90% of the job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can see that. Now, so you mostly are playing at the table there, doing the live stream and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But here lately, you guys have gotten to go to PAX, all the different
Yeah.
PAXes, and do the live games. So, what is that like? Do you have a preference? Is it overwhelming? Does it fill you with energy? Like, what is that experience?
It's just different from streaming normally. Streaming normally feels like a home game with
Yeah,
like really bright lights on. The live show, there's so much energy because, there's all these fans there and they know you like so intimately because they spend so many hours with you that I don't know, it just gets me so amped up. Like I just want to put on a good show and I don't want to disappoint anybody.
yeah. So that energy feeds and stuff. I know that when I've done public speaking and things, I've had this experience, and I've heard Jerry talk about this too, where where you don't remember what you just did. You know, you did a thing, but you're like, I have no idea if that was good or not. Like, someone has to tell me, or I have to watch the tape. Do you experience that as well, or are you pretty present?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm very present in the moment, but as soon as I step off stage, I get like live show blackout
Yeah,
where I just think like, what happened? And I usually have to go back and watch it again on the VOD just to be like remembering the plot.
yeah, no, exactly. It's because your brain is just clocking overtime. Like, you need to have a heat sink or something just so you don't overheat. I think so. It's yeah. You guys do a great job in all the games, and I try to watch them live as much as possible.
Thank
But
you.
this isn't the only campaign you're in, is it?
No, I'm in another campaign.
So tell me about that one.
That campaign is called Bright Grave. It's DM'd by Mike Krahulik from Penny Arcade. And the players are his wife, Kara, my husband, Levin, and myself. It's a private game. We don't stream it. I've been recording them for posterity, so it exists somewhere. Um,
Do,
you
do the
know,
other players know you're recording it?
they didn't the first time, which I think is technically illegal, but it's fine.
It depends on state laws.
Exactly.
So do you think you'll ever release something like that, or will it just stay as like a written form, like show notes?
So far it's been show notes from me and Mike. I don't know if we would ever release it. Maybe there could be like one time we do it, but I see it as like a pretty private thing. And I
Okay.
think that's actually going to be really good because Mike's building this whole world and he's just doing notes. So I think if someone wanted to jump into it, they wouldn't have a preconceived notion of like how it's supposed to go.
Right. I like that. Yeah. Do you think he's just kind of working some stuff out and doesn't want to make it this big public thing, but at the same time, you guys are excited about it, so you're talking about it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that world will go somewhere more formal, but our campaign running through it the first time probably won't.
Yeah. Well, there's always got to be a kind of a campaign zero, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
First idea. Now, the character you play in Bridegrave is Oleander, is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Oleander, which again is a kind of plant or flower, right?
Yeah, a very poisonous one.
Ooh, okay. So I'm noticing a theme here, Amy. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, with her, she's an Oath of the Ancients paladin. So again, very nature based. I made her that she was married to a druid. She's very concerned about the teachings of the god in Bright Grave in their particular areas, very nature based. So again, just another nature crusader. I guess I have a type.
Right on. Yeah, you're still working all that stuff out. You haven't
Yeah.
reached the end point with Walnut yet. Um, so people can find the show notes that you're writing down from Brightgrave. Is that on your Patreon?
That is on my Patreon. It's currently available to any of my patrons, any tier level. Anytime we have a session, I put out my notebook that I write in Oleander's perspective.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize it was from that perspective. Are you still trying to find that voice a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's helping me work through who she is as a character. We've only had 2 sessions, so I'm still very green. I don't quite know her personality yet, but those really help.
Right on. That's super cool. And so I looked at your Patreon and it's got a ton of art on it, got the show notes, all that kind of stuff. So are did I see correctly that you're thinking about bringing back a webcomic, a regular webcomic?
Yeah, I actually do it for my patrons right now. They get to see Cardigan Weather, my journal comic, and it's exclusively for them. But when I hit a certain threshold, I'm actually thinking about making that a public thing again and doing a once a week webcomic.
Did you always draw as a kid? Is there a certain point in your life where you're like, this is when I became an artist?
I always drew. I always was creative. I can tell you the first time I realized that I wanted to make art forever, I was maybe 5 years old, and I was at an arts and crafts event, and they brought us dead fish, and you're supposed to paint the dead fish and then press them onto a t-shirt. And when it came off and I saw the t-shirt made and it was real, I just thought, this is so cool. I want to be creative forever.
That is the weirdest arts and craft class I've ever heard of.
It is.
Oh my gosh. But that's such a cool thing. You saw, you had an idea in your head and then you made it real. What a great way to start a career like that.
Yeah, it was, had I known it would have been so pivotal, I wish that there had been less dead fish involved, but it's still a good memory.
Yeah, I think we did that growing up, but it was like a carved potato or something. I think it's a lot less gross factor.
Yeah.
Like that. So yeah. So you've been drawing since then, basically. You've been kind of doodling and drawing to some various degrees since you were 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So where are you finding your inspiration? Because you do a lot of different kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I do a lot of fantasy stuff. I have some artists that are personal friends. I tend to look up more towards people I know personally, and those are Nick Trujillo, who was on Strip Search with me, Mary Cagle, she was my colorist on my comic Click Refresh for a while, and she's super good, Mike Rahulik from Penny Arcade, and then my friend Ryan Gatz, who is just a master of lighting and anatomy.
Right on. Very cool. And so that's the thing is something that I'm always so interested in is inspiration and finding ideas in everyday life and just all around you. And I really do believe that there are ideas just everywhere. Just reach out and grab them if you know how to look and you're staying aware. And I know that you're creating stuff that is for D&D, art pieces and all this kinds of stuff. So, where you're finding inspiration from other artists, but what do you do when you don't have any inspiration? Like when you're looking at the blank computer screen, looking at the blank journal, and you're just like, well, I hate my life now.
Yeah.
What do you do?
There's a couple things I can do. Sometimes I open Pinterest and I just look at random art or at nature photos, usually things that are soothing because I'm angry at this point. But sometimes it really helps to go do something that's creative in a different way. So not drawing, I'll like knit or something. And that is something that I don't have to think while I'm doing it. So I can actually, kind of put my mind on whatever I'm working through. So when I'm knitting, actually, I have a lot of breakthroughs about what I want to do in my illustration.
That's really true, because it's like, when people will take a shower or a bath or something and they suddenly have an idea. Eureka literally comes from someone getting in the bath, right?
Yes.
And so it's kind of the sneaky way to get into the creative back door of letting your brain kind of go in neutral, and then all of a sudden stuff pops up. It's I guess it's the positive side of when you're trying to go to sleep at night and then you remember something embarrassing you did from 3rd grade.
Yes.
And you're like, thanks, brain. I really appreciate that. No problem.
Yeah, but these thoughts just come into your head, and you have to do your best to allow yourself the time for these thoughts to come in and then capture them.
Right on. Very cool. All right. So you've got C-Team, you've got Bright Grave, you've got your Patreon, you're getting ready to pull your comic back up from the dead, which is a 5th level spell. And then you're also streaming. Did I see that right too?
Oh yeah, I stream every day on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Amy T. Falcone. And I stream every morning. I usually draw, and then we wrap it up by playing some kind of game that is very chill and usually something that's a little creative. So I'm playing Subnautica right now, and that's the general vibe.
Okay. Yeah. So something that's just, it keeps things loose, right?
Exactly.
Right on. Well, cool. Well, I wondered if you would play a game with me right now, just a kind of a lightning round to finish off our chat here today. Are you cool with
Sure.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just yes or no. If you want to elaborate, you can. Okay.
Okay.
So better DM, Perkins or Jerry?
Jerry.
Jerry. Why do you say Jerry?
I mean, I have more hours with him. I know him better. I know how he ticks. I can play against him better. But which one's more of a thrill? It's Chris Perkins because he's DM to the stars.
Yeah, he's Chris freaking Perkins. Wild Shape or Foremother?
If Foremother did more damage, Foremother.
It's all about that damage. Pencil and paper or D&D Beyond?
D&D Beyond.
Really? Is it really changed that much for you?
It really makes everything so easy. It just takes all of the guesswork out. I love it.
Right on. Yeah, I use it a lot for pulling up monster stats and that kind of stuff when I play games myself, but I've yet to use it as a player with that kind of interactive character sheet. So I guess I'm going to have to take that plunge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last question. Who wins in a fight, DCA or C team?
Oh, man. DCA. They're way more confident than we are.
Wait, but isn't there plan A, run and hide?
No, I think we're too stubborn and we would fight them, but they're higher level than us, so we just die.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. Well, right on. Well, hey, is there anything else you wanted to talk about or anything else you wanted to promote before we kind of end our conversation here?
Sure. I'll promote 3 things. You can watch me on the C Team every Wednesday on the Penny Arcade channel starting at 4 p.m. Pacific. You can watch me stream every morning at 7:30 on my Twitch channel, Amy T. Falcone. You can also watch me through my Patreon, which is, again, Amy T. Falcone. I put up a lot of drawing, wallpapers, comics, all that kind of stuff.
Right on. The branding is just on point. You're doing it great.
I got it.
All right, Amy. Well, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I want to say thank you again to Amy T. Falcone for coming on and doing the interview. I'll be doing more interviews of people in our D&D community. If you would like, subscribe, and share this, it go a long way. Do all that right down here. And you can hear more interviews that I'll be doing here in the coming weeks. If you want more information about Critical Dice, about our sponsor, the Endless Bag of Dice, or more stuff about Amy, the C Team, and her Patreon and streams, all that's going to be in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.